A Kenosha County eyeglass salesman faces criminal charges for impersonating an eye doctor. Fox 6 investigator Brian Polson first exposed the illegal activity back in 2015 and then again 4 years later.
And now see why prosecutors are finally taking action and the one lie the defendant admits telling to keep Fox 6 News off his back.
Alrighty.
It might have seemed poetic.
You understand the charges brought against you?
If Lee Hagopian had been charged with impersonating an eye doctor in the year 2020.
I do not understand, Your Honor.
But the Kenosha County DA says an extensive investigation into Hagopian's optical business was delayed for much of the year because of the COVID-19 pandemic, social unrest, and more.
I accept that response.
On April 19, 2021, the DA charged Hagopian with practicing optometry without a license, misdemeanor theft, and obstructing an officer. And for Jill Gilmore, it was worth the wait.
If anybody can pretend to be an eye doctor, a lot of people will be deceived and possibly injured.
In the fall of 2019, Gilmore went to Next Day Glasses in Paddock Lake, where she says Hagopian examined her eyes, told her she needed a stronger prescription, then sent her home with a pair of contact lenses.
My eyes were completely on fire.
It wasn't until that night she discovered the trial contacts had been expired for 8 years.
It was a very traumatic experience.
Turns out Lee Hagopian is not an eye doctor at all.
It's not something that I want public.
And this wasn't the first time he's been accused of posing as one.
I don't want somebody to go to a doctor and he's not a doctor.
I'd like to talk to you about practicing without a license.
The Fox 6 investigators first exposed Hagopian's illegal eye practice 6 years ago.
He looked in my eyes and said that structurally my eyes looked good.
He wore the lab coat. He was the only person in there. It was just him in the office.
Nobody else was there.
No one else was there.
You're impersonating a doctor.
I don't want to talk to anybody when it comes to that.
State regulators then warned him to stop doing eye exams.
When's the last time you had one of them?
Or face possible criminal charges. But in 2019, Gilmore told us he was at it again.
Speak with my lawyer.
I'd like to know why you are still doing exams.
And that's when Hagopian called police on us.
They're threatening my business is what they're doing.
What threat did they make?
Verbal threat.
What threat?
A verbal threat
To do what?
to put me on Fox 6 News and make me look bad.
It's absolutely scary.
Peter Theo is president of the Wisconsin Optometric Association.
There is nothing routine about an eye exam because of the eye health part of it.
Theo says there's a big difference between an optometrist who can diagnose eye conditions and write prescriptions and an optician like Hagopian.
The optician is there to dispense eyewear.
But time and time again, complaints about Hagopian have been met with the same response.
That's all civil.
Until now.
This was filed on the 19th, and I've had barely any time to understand it.
At his first appearance in criminal court, Hagopian said repeatedly he didn't understand the charges.
And that's why I would ask the state and the court to grant a continuance.
Instead,
Would you read this entire complaint, please, to Mr. Hagopian?
the commissioner had his clerk read the 6-page criminal complaint out loud.
Lieutenant Ruth asked to see a package of the contacts.
Word for word.
Why did he expired contacts in the office?
Including the part about Hagopian's business being under new ownership.
And the defendant said, quote, that I'll admit is a fib.
It's a lie detectives say he admitted telling
In case Fox 6 News returns to his business.
to keep the Fox 6 investigators off his back.
You just wouldn't let up on it, and so it makes sense that he was worried about that.
It's sad. How do you come to that point in your life where it's just one scheme after another scheme?
But customers aren't the only ones getting fed up with Hagopian's behavior.
I don't understand, Your Honor.
Last month, he appeared to test the patience of Kenosha County Court Commissioner Lauren Keating.
I do not understand.
You understand clean English. You and I are talking. It was read to you. We're moving this case forward. So
I need time to...
No, you do not at this point. You may need time to get an attorney, but I'm moving your case forward, so don't argue with me.
I've moved on.
Gilmore says she's forgiven Hagopian for the pain he put her through. She just doesn't want it to happen to someone else, especially, she says, when it all could have been so easily avoided.
If you want to be an eye doctor, go to school to be an eye doctor.
Brian Polson, Fox 6 Investigators.
This may be the first time someone has been criminally charged in Wisconsin for posing as an eye doctor. A spokesperson for the Department of Safety and Professional Services said she could not find another case like it. Meanwhile, Lee Hagopian did not return calls seeking comment. His next court date is May 28th.